regular city council meeting for February 23rd, 2026 to order. First, we'll start off with the invocation by Chaplain Steve Smith and the Pledge of Allegiance by our House Attorney.
Let us pray. Father, we come before you to ask that you will watch over those that sit here to help run the business of this great city of Atwater. Father, all those that have given their time and their efforts, Father, we do thank you for them. We thank you for our Mayor Pro Tem today, Father, for our city attorney and our city manager, Father. We thank you for our police chief and our fire chief, and especially for those that work for both those agencies. Work hard to keep us safe, to keep things going within the city. And we ask for prayers, or ask for safety for each and every one of them, Father, and for ongoing prayers for those within this city that they will come home safe, Father. I ask, Father, that as we see a political landscape in the federal government, Father, that this city, the city of Atwater, will continue to work with each other, that will not throw mud or sling names at each other, but will work with each other, even with the disagreements that they may have. We know that they work for this city, Father, and we praise you for them. Thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Ready? Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Ambrose,
Here.
Raymond,
Here.
Rochester,
Here.
Nelson is absent. Kale,
Here.
we have a quorum.
Do we have any subsequent need items?
Mayor Pro Tem, there are none.
All right, we move on to the agenda. Do we have anybody in the audience that would like to, I'm sorry, we got to have a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Ambrose,
Yes.
Raymond,
Yes.
Rochester,
Yes.
Kale,
Yes.
motion passes.
Okay, we'll have the presentations first. We got 3 of them. And the first is going to be the American Medical Response team. Please come forward. Welcome, gentlemen.
See if this presentation can get working. But until then, good evening, Mayor, Council members. My name is Daniel Iniguez. I am the Regional Director for American Medical Response here in Merced County. Your new ambulance provider is starting the 1st of this year.
If you could please step forward to the microphone so our audience can hear you.
Rich Silver, the Director of Communications for American Medical Response.
Great, thank you.
So as you know, late last year, the County of Merced went out to an RFP to select an ambulance provider for the 911 contract for all of Merced County. And after a competitive process, we, AMR, was selected to be a new provider. And we're 2 months into this now, a little less than 2 months, which seems crazy how quickly time's flying. Really, this is just an opportunity for you all to meet us as some of the local leaders here with AMR, give you a quick just presentation of kind of what our rollout looked like, our footprint in the area, and if you have any other follow-up questions. So who we are American Medical Response. American Medical Response is one of the largest owned private ambulance companies in the country, and why we think that is important is even though we have a very local feel in how we are going to be ran and ran by the local leaders in this area, we have the power of just that national support. So when we need that help that counties deserve, that we have that, and we are the subject matter expert when it comes to all things ambulance services in your basic life support, advanced life support, critical care transport. We do it all, and we're excited to be here. So why the county chose us? So for the past couple years, I've been just kind of working in the background, I would say, getting to know your county, going to the EMCC meetings, learning what your county wanted, and just growing partnerships, whether it through our interfacility transports or any other way that we can start becoming a part of your community. And there, I just started building trust with local leaders, hospitals, EMS agency, really understanding better what Merced County needed. Again, like I said earlier, we've proven over the decades that we know what we're doing when it comes to providing emergency services to a community, and whether it's a large city or smaller rural communities, and how we can balance that out with our processes, our expertise in doing so. And just our technology is advanced. We'll talk more a little bit about our dispatch services, how we dispatch, how we come up with our posting plan, which I think is ultimately most important for communities. So what we're committing to is aligning with the goals of the county, and a lot of what we saw was wanting a provider that's going to be transparent and be a partner, right? We definitely saw the need of the provider needs to be a more partner with its hospitals, with the fire departments, police department, the EMS agency, partnering and working together in a very transparent way where we have nothing to hide. We are here to serve the county, and we are steward of the emergency services, and where can we align with those other services to strengthen the overall community and EMS response. So how this started, most of the time when you take over a contract, so once we are awarded, usually it's a 6 to 9 months process due to some delays from the state getting the RFP back. The timeline was less than 3 months. So a pretty heavy task to complete, but again, it's what we do, and we did it where we actually went 12 hours earlier because it was slated to start at midnight on New Year's, and that's just a horrible time to transition any contract over. So we worked with the incumbent, the county, and rolled that over to 12 hours earlier. So, 12:31 at noon is when we took over the EMS services. We had an implementation team that did so a team of probably 50 plus people working in their different silos, meeting every week to come to build. This contract brings new ambulances, new equipment, new training, new posting locations, and a lot of things, and a completely new dispatch center, all within less than 3 months. So there's just a quick look of what your local team looks like. Again, myself being the regional director, we have a director of operations. Rich Silva is our director of communications. We have a clinical team, and then your operational leaders that will be leading the paramedics and EMTs and dispatchers in this county.
So let's talk about the EMS Communications Center that you guys have today. One of the things that I'm very proud of that we're bringing to this county is that we're dual ACE accredited. What does that mean to all of you? That means that we're held to a higher standard. We make sure that we have a robust community and quality assurance program to make sure that we're providing that care to those people in their time of need. We're looking at CAD-to-CAD integration in this county. One of the things that we do in the other 2 counties that I oversee that streamlines processes, ensures transparency, and helps making sure that we get those first responders there safely, and that we're sharing information back and forth, so that's something to come. The center itself, at a minimum, have 11 dispatchers on and 1 supervisor, and we max out at about 15 on any given day, so that we're making sure that we're answering those calls, because there is no rush hour at 4 o'clock. The honest Tuesday is the busiest day in EMS. Why? I have no idea, but just kind of give you an idea of staffing. So dynamic, oh, go ahead. So the dynamic plan, things that ask of me and Daniel a lot of times, how do we go about making sure we have ambulances in the right spot? The CAD that I use is Tritech or Central Square. It's a PSAP CAD. It's very robust with data that I can pull out of it. And this is just a sample picture. If I'm wondering what's going on in any given county, I can pull data out and you will see green, red, yellow. That's telling me how many calls are happening in a certain hour. Okay, you'll also see green dots that are up there, red dots. Green dots are where we're looking at posting our ambulances. Those red dots are alternate locations that we can put an ambulance should we need to. So say a road is closed or we're being told by the local PSAP, hey, something's going on over here. We can make quick adjustments in our CAD to make sure that we're taking care of the citizens that we oversee. This is a little complicated, but I'll try to make it very simple for you guys. This is what my dispatchers look at on a regular basis. This is a posting map. So depending on call volume, time of day, and what's needed, this map will change. So one of the things you'll see in the right corner, you'll see Merced East at 6. That's telling us that we have 6 ambulances available on the east side of the county. In this picture that I took, we had 2 on the west side. So that way we're looking at the county, splitting it in half, while we can help each other out. Those dynamics as far as traveling that 40, 45 minutes, we want to make sure that we're doing right, that we're not moving someone 45 minutes west or east, and then potentially not being available on the other side. Also comes up, it'll tell us how fast these units are moving and kind of just gives an overview. Dispatchers can drill this down to actually the street with actually the numbers of the house, so in case we need to help first responders. One of the things that I'm proud of is the next slide, which is we're upgrading this. And one of the things that we find that happen is that things happen, flu season, different things, road being closed, whatever. The last picture on that K-Tracker, our posting plan, this is the new one, so that we're actually able to put, you can see outlines in different colors. We can put different parameters from where they're at a specific post and how far they can cover. Driving speed limit, not code 3, using normal law. So this kind of map here will show you level 6, and it will show you the coverage that you get on the east side of the county at level 6. The other nice thing is up in the right corner, you'll see the number 6 again. If you're new, or if it's me, I'm working the position and I haven't worked it in a while, I can go plus or minus so I know what I'm going to be doing next, whether I gain an ambulance or whether I lose an ambulance. And this is going to be a huge, huge win all the way across the board, because when you have roads closed, things along those lines that happen, this is something that's going to help us make sure that we're covering the area appropriately.
So kind of EMS 2.0, what we're hoping to bring. So again, with this contract, one of the exciting parts, right, is we bought a completely brand new fleet of ambulance. So 26 new brand new ambulances, 4 supervisor vehicles. We have every ambulance is equipped with the LifePak 35, which is the newest LifePak that's out there. We have the full auto load gurneys for the safety of our patients and the safety of clinical staff. And along with that, working with our partners, we're bringing some partnerships that I don't think have been here in the past. One of the big ones that you're going to see is Nurse Navigation. Nurse Navigation is our company's version of what you would say a nurse navigation hotline, like say a Kaiser Advice hotline. And what it helps cities do is kind of give another pathway for EMS. When someone calls 911, not everyone always needs an ambulance, right? Everyone will always have the opportunity for an ambulance, but can we do something different as healthcare evolves? Can we bring them to an urgent care clinic? Can we help them with an Uber ride that can get them to their doctor to fill their medicine, instead of having them go through the 911 system into an ER that can cause our bed delays when when we're limited in this county and a lot of counties, right? Can we give our citizens a better options and the right options for what they need, right? And they will always have the opportunity to have an ambulance, and if during this process they go, nope, never mind, I want an ambulance, then we send an ambulance. But if it's something where we can fulfill their need in a different way and support them in other avenues of our healthcare system, we're going to be working with the county EMS agency to bring that. This is not a new process. We have it across the country, and it's hugely successful. And it drops probably the 911. Year 3, by 10 to 13% of your call volume will route through this nurse navigation system to give just the citizens another option if they qualify because they're a lower acuity patient to do so, which will help with backups in the ER, which will help keep ambulances on the road and things like that. So we're really excited to work with the county. So when you hear nurse navigation, that's kind of what it is, and we'll give further presentations on that once that comes to light. Just a quick snapshot of kind of what it looks like on the slide, right? It's integrated into our dispatch center and routed to if they qualify to a nurse navigation hotline nurse that routes them to the right appropriate care. So something coming in the future that we're really excited about. Again, I oversee 3 counties. One of the I think beautiful thing about our being a part of this county is so I oversee San Joaquin and Stanislaus as well. And now with this partnership, on top of learning your county, and as we learn and Rich's systems learn your county, we know exactly where to start moving ambulances if we need to upstaff ambulances, right? If we need to bring more ambulances into the area. But on top of that, we have synergy of neighboring counties that can support and vice versa, right? That if there's a unit closer because they're in Turlock to a Hillmar area or something like that, we can bring that unit from Stanislaus in seamlessly now because they're all dispatched out of the same dispatch center, or vice versa, right? So even though all our ambulances in our zones will have their primary location, if need be due to call volume, due to some type of MCI that we can immediately call on our neighboring counties to come support our community, we could do so now. We've already done with really good success now, just not through MCIs, but just through that, it's hard to always determine 911 volume, and when we do so, we need to draw units over from our neighboring counties, we can do so. That gives us just that extra strength to keep our systems stable. There's your ambulances. You'll see it around, like you said. That's really it. I know it was a quick presentation. I said it's been 2 months. We're really proud on the 2 months so far that we've done. We've already learned things, already added ambulances to the system, right? We had to make a lot of assumptions based off the data that we got, right? But until you're in a system and know the traffic patterns and know call volume, again, we took over right at the busiest time of the year. Flu season, these December to March is the busiest time in a 911 system, right? And so we've already added ambulances. We will continue to do so if need be. And so far, it's been really successful. And we look forward to a long tenure here and learning your county more and partnering with all of you to make this a good run.
Anybody have any questions from the dice?
Just have a quick question. You mentioned a new dispatch center. Is that within the county or is it outside the county?
It is outside the county in Salida. Yeah, it's called VREC, which they dispatch Stanislaus, San Joaquin, and now Merced.
Okay, and your employees that work there, are any of them from Merced County?
Yeah. So, and I'm glad you pointed that out. I think one of the things that was a nervousness from the community, right, was that you were going to lose all the institutional knowledge that came from the paramedics and EMTs and dispatchers. We offered everyone that wanted to come over a job from the field, from EMTs, dispatchers, paramedics that wanted to come. I think we had 98% of those people came. So the same people that were on your units before are the same people that are responding to calls, just under a new leadership, under a new company that could better support them, better be a partner in the community. Rich, how many dispatchers? Yeah. So I think that was a nervousness from just due to some messaging and some things that went out there to the community, unfortunately, and that just was never the case. We never intended to bring on own people from outside. We couldn't, right? And so we hired the incumbent workforce. We brought on some of those same leaders on our leadership team because they were a good fit, and now they just have the support of the companies who do this really well.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for other questions.
Anybody else? I have one. So you offered everybody that worked for Riggs a job in your company.
Every single EMT, dispatcher, and paramedic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So on that side. So another question that I have is your nurse call center. So if somebody in Atwater picks up the phone and dials 911, that goes to the CHP office, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and the CHP, once they hear their initial call request, they can send it to you.
Yep.
Okay, so your nurse call is, are they licensed nurses, or is that just your?
They're licensed nurses, and that wouldn't even come. So at first, if that call came in and got transferred to Rich's team because it's EMS, they would automatically start what we call an EMD process. You know, asking the standard questions, right? And then if they got to a certain point where, let's just say someone said, I need to get my medication refilled and I don't have a way to the hospital, right? And that's the only thing wrong with me. They would then qualify, and we work with the county. We don't build what that is. We work with the EMS agency, public, you know, our medical directors would say, okay, what calls should fall in this low acuity bucket, right? So, you know, we don't make that determination. We work with the county to say, this is where they feel comfortable with these calls being just even an option, right? So I use that one for, hey, I need to fill my prescription. I don't have a way to get there. I need to go to the emergency room, right? You qualify for this, then Rich's team would route it to our nurse navigation dispatch center, which is actually located in Texas. It would go there where they are nurses. The nurses would then go through the same call matrix to get their information, and they, through the system and all this, there's many options, you know, that builds over time based off of what the community's needs and wants are. So we'll just keep using this one prescription. Okay, through this nurse navigation system, we could set up for an Uber or Lyft to come pick them up, bring them to their closest pharmacy, drop them off, pick them back up, and bring them home, and that's no charge to people, right? That's just part of the built-in system of our nurse navigation system. So that's like an example. Now let's say lower acuity, maybe they needed to get a wound cared for, but it wasn't an emergency they need to. If alternate destination is something that is approved here, we could take them to an urgent care clinic, right? And maybe they go to urgent care clinic and they're seen there instead of an ER, right? But at any point, they go either through the call, they say, oh, nope, this is an emergency, kicks it back to Rich's team, or they go, you know, well, never mind, this seems weird, I want an ambulance, and we send them an ambulance, right? So it's giving the lower acuity patients another option, but not taking anything away, right?
Great. I appreciate that. If possible, could you guys give us statistics after 6 months? Give us what's happening in Atwater, including the time, call times and everything. Could you do that maybe every 6 months?
Yeah.
I think the citizens would really appreciate that.
Yeah, and it's something we work on. I mean, we work on it every. I mean, we track it daily. But yeah, I mean, we definitely report out every month. But 6 months is no problem. That's something that we track right now. Learning your system, what post moves do we need to make differently? What time of days are you busy, and all that stuff we do. So.
Okay. Brian, you have, please.
I actually do have a question. I know that Riggs formerly worked with Merced College to hire through their EMS program, and I'm hopeful that AMR will be doing the same. Is that going to continue?
That will. And we already had a partnership with Steve and the college over there. And so, you know, I'm participating in part of their accreditation process on Thursday. So we've had a relationship with Steve in the program. It is so important that this county supports Steve and the paramedic program at the college. It is so important in what we've seen from many counties, and you have to grow your own a lot of time, right? Especially in more maybe rural communities or not feeder counties, that you're not drawing in a ton of, you know, people from outside the area. You have to make your own EMTs. You have to make your own paramedics, and that's how a county's successful. So that program has nothing but our support. And again, we already had that with it. And now that's one of the things I think I'm really excited about that we're here is that now we can really partner more because we're the provider. We already are sending our students there and instructors and our field training officers. So I can just see that growing a lot. So yeah.
I work at the college, and it gives me a lot of hope to see all of these paramedic students training, and I just want to see them be able to continue their employment in our county, and I think that's wonderful to hear. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you could, before you leave, could you hand a card to the deputy city clerk so that we can get your information in case we have questions later?
Absolutely.
Thank you. It was very
Thank you.
informative.
I also welcome each of you if you'd like to come down to the center and sit at the center as well. So, and I'll leave my card.
Great.
We'll let you
Perfect.
guys come down and sit. We'll put a headset on you and listen to all the things that they have to do and show you all the technology that we have.
Yeah, it's a
Awesome.
very
Thank you very much.
impressive, fancy center. So if you can, you have time, it's worth driving to Salida for, I guarantee you. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Next, we have Mid-Valley Disposal. Yes, we have Mid-Valley Disposal Annual Report.
Hello, Mayor Pro Tem and Council, excuse me. My name is Billy Hansen, and I work with Mid-Valley Disposal. I'm the Recycling Programs Manager, but tonight and moving forward, Marissa Cortalejo is going to be presenting your annual reports. So I wanted to just give her a warm introduction before she came up and gave the presentation tonight. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council members, City staff. Thank you for having me tonight. My name is Marissa Corralejo. I am the Recycling Program Specialist here with Mid-Valley Disposal. I am freshly new to Mid-Valley. I've been a year in now, but that was, I think, in January. I made it to a year, so that's a good thing for me. But I am not new to the waste collection and management industry. I've actually just exceeded a little over a decade. So I'm really just happy to be here representing a great company. And before I do start with the annual update, I just wanted to quickly recognize our staff that we have here with us tonight. We'll start with Billy Hansen, who is our senior, I was like, you're right behind me. Senior Recycling Programs Manager here with Mid-Valley Disposal. And then we also have Rick Rye, who is our North Valley Operations Manager. Daniel Chavez, who is our Route Supervisor. I'm sure you guys recognize them. And then also here today we have Casey Austin Tibbetts, who is our Government and Public Relations. So yeah, just thank you guys for being here tonight. So we will start with our community events. So I'm just gonna go ahead and kind of just give you guys just a little brief summary as to what 2025 looked like for us. So for our community events, we do prioritize a proactive community-based engagement through participation in community events. And I did just notice that there's actually 2 that are not listed here, so I'm gonna talk about those first. So we did participate in the 4th of July parade, which was really fun. And then we also recently, late 2025, did collaborate with the Atwater Elementary School District. And we actually did career days, presentations, basically got them up to speed with compliance as far as SB 1383 goes. And what I liked about that project specifically is that it's one of those feel-good projects because not only are we working directly with the staff and superintendents, but we're also working directly with the youth and engaging with them, and they get super excited about recycling, and they actually go home and they teach it to their parents. So that's basically my highlight for 2025 was working with the schools here in Atwater. And then we did also participate in National Night Out. That was extremely fun. I wasn't there, but I did hear, and I heard it was actually really hot as well. And then the Christmas parade, I didn't participate in that, but I hope to be able to attend that this year. And then we're gonna go ahead and just move forward with education and outreach here in the community. So beyond in-person community engagement, we also expand our educational reach through direct mailers as one of our targeted outreach efforts. So what that looks like is this can be just a direct mailer to their home, or basically just handing out educational literature to all of the businesses and so forth that we meet on a day-to-day basis. And then I'm gonna cover the site visits completed for 2025, which was 328 site visits. And that was actually conducted by our outreach coordinator, Teresa Orozco. She is not here tonight, but just wanted to also shout her name out while I'm here. We distributed 21,000 educational flyers, and then all the tier 1 and tier 2 food generators were identified and provided outreach education. And then so here we have kind of the fun one here, which is our route review results. So here we basically have a visual of what we like to call our 3-stream system. And so this visual simply identifies the percentage of contamination during our route reviews, and it basically shows the containers that we audited and the percentage and number of the containers that were actually contaminated. So I'm gonna start with basically the highest contamination, which is gonna look like our trash container. So we have a 12% contamination count there. So total containers audited were 527, and out of those 527, we have, if I can see that correctly, it looks like 64 contaminated containers. And then we have our recycling carts or containers. We audited 499 of those, and 25 of those were contaminated, which is really good. That gives us a 5% overall. And then we have our organic stream, which is 457 that were audited, and the contamination container was only 8, which is great because it just shows a great improvement. So that gives us a 1% of contamination. And then along with, you know, our lid flipping and auditing, so I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but the way that the auditing is done is basically lid flipping. So our team is out there in the morning, early before the drivers get there. They are literally lid flipping to basically identify that contamination, and that is the way that our data is collected. And while they're doing that, all the super recycle heroes, they get good job tags, and I just feel like that really helps promote and encourage the community to recycle right, because that little good job tag, it does something for them, right? And they just continue doing a great job. So I think that having that good job tag program is amazing. And so I'm gonna go ahead and bring up our operations team, and they're gonna go ahead and just kind of detail a little bit more about our cleanup events.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council, City Staff, Rick Wright, Operations Manager for Mid-Valley Disposal. So the year 2025 brought on some new hurdles. We used to always historically do our cleanup events at Castle Air Force Base, but last year we had to find a new location. So we switched it over to the Atwater swap meet with Dennis Manini. We looked at a couple different locations that we heard about historically in the past, from BUAC High School to the City Yard and other locations, but we found this would be the best location for residents to be able to come in and the operation to flow correctly and without any hesitation, and get people, residents in and out. So this year I also have Daniel Chavez, Daniel Chavez here to go ahead and talk about the total amount of numbers and everything else that's contributed today.
Good evening, everybody. So at both events combined are a spring and fall cleanup. We have a total trash count of 620,000 pounds of trash. Total organics of 16,600 pounds. Total e-waste of 1,840 pounds. Total metal of 83,620 pounds. Total tires 191, and car count 905, and that's combined for both. I believe our first cleanup, we had about 560 cars we counted in the spring, March of last year. I think we all broke a sweat that day. We appreciate everybody coming out, and we encourage everybody else to take advantage of the spring and fall cleanup that we hold 2 times a year.
And just a quick fun fact, if you look at that total 905, in roughly 4 hours, that's about 3 cars a minute. That's one thing we do pride ourselves on from every city, is making sure that we run a clean, smooth cleanup event. We make sure our drivers and all staff are involved. You know, for a short staff, we're making sure, I don't care if you're a supervisor, manager, who you are, you're out there offloading. So a lot of residents do appreciate that. That's why they're able to come in and out, some 2 to 3 times, right? But we want to make sure we encourage, and also encourage city staff. If you haven't got an opportunity to be out there, please stop by and come see us. You'll see how nice of a smooth event this is, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, and if we can just get a round of applause because they are really out there hustling. I actually drove by last fall and they were sweating. Okay, so moving on. So tonight, I just want to go ahead and actually recognize our Recycler of the Year. And so I did write a little something because I just think it's really important to honor them tonight. And I'm going to ask for them to come up and take a picture with us after this. So just please join me in congratulating our 2025 Recycler of the Year, who is Carnicería El Cerrito. And today we're proud to recognize not only their achievement in fully meeting SB 1383 compliance, but also the leadership they've shown by setting a positive example within our city and our community. Achieving compliance isn't always easy. It often requires new strategies and new practices and a willingness to adapt. So Carnicería El Cerrito didn't hesitate to step up. They took ownership of the process and truly committed to doing the work the right way. So we love celebrating organizations that lead by example, and this is one of them. So congratulations, and thank you for helping move our community forward. You guys want to just go ahead and come up and receive your award? And it looks like the whole family is here, so that's great. You want to take a picture with Billy? Yeah. So let's do this. Is it okay if we stand in the front and take a picture with it?
Absolutely.
Yeah? Okay.
Go ahead.
Awesome. You guys don't want to be in the picture? Yes. Thank you. Congratulations. Yeah, if you want to just say anything, that'd be nice, yeah.
Hello, my name is Adriana Rubalcaba. I am one of the owners of Carnicería El Cerrito. Established 1998. We've been here for a while. And I want to thank Mid-Valley for their recognition, our employees for their hard work, and the beautiful city of Atwater for supporting our family business. And that's it. Thank you.
And that concludes our annual update. So I will open up for questions, and I do have our Mid-Valley staff here who will support me if I can answer something.
Anybody have any questions from council? Yes, go ahead.
I just have more of a comment. I just want to say that I truly appreciate, the gentlemen who are driving the trucks. They're always super friendly. They always wave, and I just think that's wonderful. It means something to me to I see them walk or driving by, and I'm walking my dogs, and I always wave to them, and they always wave back. They're very friendly. And I love shopping at your store. I just want you to know you probably have the best meat in town. So congratulations on your award, and thank you very much for a job well done.
Thank you so much.
Anybody else? I agree. I love shopping at your store too. It's always great to come to it. And then spring cleanup is when for City Outlet, Kristen? March 21st. Correct. Not that I knew, but thank you for your presentation. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Have a good evening. I'll leave this.
Next, we have a monthly report by Merced County District 3 Supervisor Darren McDaniels.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, Council, City Manager. Want to touch something. I know we talked about Santa Fe last month when we were here. I want to do a little more detail on it. It's been about a 5-year process to get the funding lined up. I appreciate Mayor Pro Tem for all his work of helping us with that. It's going to be about a $6 million project, and we've passed about 3 hurdles on funding, and May 4th, May the 4th be with you. I don't know if it has anything to do with that. But on May 4th, we will be appearing, and I appreciate the Mayor Pro Tem for stepping up and asking to go there with me to present on our behalf. But it's going to be the SB1 LPP funding that will have to go with our Measure B regional funding, and we have the Measure B regional funding to use that as a catalyst to get the rest of the funding. So it's been a hard job. We were pulling traffic studies on it because we wanted to see what the increase was, because we started 5 years ago in this process. But what we noticed when Caltrans was working on 99, we had almost a 33% increase on traffic on Santa Fe. And I think a lot of you who commute on that way, a lot of folks decided not to use 99 to get to Merced, and they were coming all the way over to Santa Fe and using that project. So when we saw the increase on that, we tried to move faster, and we've identified the SB1 LPP funding. So that will be the cap. So hopefully May, John and I come back, singing our praises. Usually they like to do a presentation on it to okay the funding. We're trying to get the acceptance and the okay and the funding in both meetings, or in the same meeting, so it doesn't have to go to another meeting. I'm already talking with some of the CTC members that I know, and it's looking like it's gonna maybe only be on a consent, so we might not even get to speak on it, but we'll be there to represent our area. Also, I want to talk about the Santa Fe signal. I know the last couple of weeks, we've been losing the signal that's going into flash. Atwater Electric is our contracted vendor. They've been out there about 3 or 4 times. They've gone through all the testing, and so from what I got when I was sitting in here is I got a text from our DPW director, Nathan Bray, and he said that PG&E was out there. They found out it was something that was outside of our system that PG&E was actually able to fix today. So hopefully we'll be more consistent there. I also wanted to say that on March 10th, we do have, I think AMR still here? No, they've already left. So we're doing an AMR meet and greet so the community can meet AMR, and we'll be hosting that at the Atwater Veterans Memorial Building on March 10th at 6 p.m. And also we're doing the first ever State of the County on March 20th, and that'll be at the Merced Theater, and that begins at 10 a.m. Are there any other questions?
Any questions from the dais? Hearing none, thank you very much, appreciate it.
Right on, thank you.
Next, we move to comments from the public.
At this time, any person may comment on any item which is not on the agenda. You may state your name and address for the record, however, it is not required. Action will not be taken on an item that is not on the agenda. If it requires action, it will be referred to staff and replaced on a future agenda. Please limit comments to a maximum of 3 minutes.
Under the Brown Act, members of the public must address the city council as a legislative body of the city, not other members of the public or staff. I will now open public comments. Do we have any speaker cards?
Mayor Pro Tem, there are no speaker cards.
Is there any member of the public that would like to speak? Please come forward.
Good evening, everybody. I just want to let everybody know that Atwater Youth Baseball is getting ready to start on the 14th. We're going to have our parade, and we're really looking forward. Our numbers are up quite a bit this year. We're almost a little over 500. So there's a lot of kids out there looking forward to that big day. So we'd like to welcome the community, come downtown. We're going to have festivities. And again, you're going to see the kids in their uniforms and marching down right downtown. It's going to be a good little event. So just want to let everybody know.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Good evening. Adam Reed, Atwater. I think Mid-Valley. Yeah. But I wanted to say Mid-Valley is doing an excellent job. I do a lot of different things with garbage service, and they're a lot more responsive and easier to deal with than Republic was. So I appreciate that, and Daniel's always really good to work with. They helped us a lot at the ice rink this year for Old Town Atwater, and I want to, I've thanked them, and I want to publicly thank them too. Also and this is not a reflection of their service, I've went and talked to the finance department. Downtown, I mean, everybody can drive downtown and drive down the alley, and you can count about 20 or 30 green cans. If anybody knows anything about properties downtown, there's not one stitch of green waste because buildings sit on the property lines. They are constantly getting garbage dumped in them. That could be a lot of the I know it was a low number, but that could be the contamination. But I think the city needs to look at that contract, and I'm sure it's a carryover from previous contract that requires everybody to have green waste. Maybe there needs to be an exception for people that have no possibility of generating green waste, because it just becomes a nuisance. They're flipping over the trash cans. The homeless people are down there dumping stuff out everywhere. And then that's another thing too. Maybe we need to have like some sort of a workshop or something. Mid-Valley, they're in a lot of towns and stuff. I'm sure that they see this. Like we need to figure out trash downtown, like how to, the dumpsters in the alleys and stuff just don't really seem to work. People illegally dump in them. The homeless people light them on fire. I've had them lit on fire and caused me a bunch of problems with my sewer line that cost me a lot of money to fix. So it would be nice if we could maybe like look at downtown and see if there's a better way for us to handle garbage down there. And then on garbage too, my neighbors, they've got a dump site. There's waste. I've sent you guys pictures. It's even worse. The rain's coming tomorrow. My shed had a crack in one of the fiberglass panels. And over the weekend, whenever I was in there, I noticed some water leaking. So I got up there to put a new panel on today. And it's even worse. Like 80% of their backyard is this tall with garbage. It's waste. It's not like stuff that can be used for anything. It's not useful. It's literal garbage, filth, and waste. And they've got animals back there. There are so many cats. It sounds like a Louisiana swamp in my backyard because of all the frogs. It is so loud at night with frog noise. Come by 1520 Fruitland Avenue, stand out in front of my house. You can hear the frogs. It is loud. So I know I've asked. I hope you guys can do something to rectify your code problems that don't allow you to go in people's backyards, but there's a problem and I need help.
Thank you. Next.
Linda Dash, Atwater. Now that you have City Hall and your finance departments moved downtown, the beautiful buildings, millions of dollars that was spent, I think you overlooked one thing, that's ADA. Place for folks that have disabilities to get out of their cars, not have to hop over your 8-inch curbs. There's nothing painted blue. If there any way that they can get to, like pay their water bill, they have to get off at the corner. That's your disability. I was kind of waiting to see, I thought, well, someone is going to think about handicapped folks, but evidently you didn't. So I think it's time. I'm surprised that it was approved by your building inspector. He must have overlooked that too. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Alrighty. Evening, Mayor Pro Tem, Council, City of Atwater. My name is Karthik Prasad here on behalf of Congressman Adam Gray. And earlier this month, Congressman Gray was able to secure over $16 million in direct funding for 15 projects in our district through the recently passed appropriations package. For more information on the specific projects funded and the amount appropriated for each, you can check them out on our website, gray.house.gov. And the next opportunity to apply for community project funding is coming up this spring. Our office is going to be accepting applications once the Appropriations Committee has released their guidelines on the matter, which usually happens in March. So it's coming up really soon, and last year the deadline was pretty tight. So we're really eager to help assist the City of Atwater secure funding for community projects, as we were able to secure funding for all 15 projects that we submitted to the House Appropriations Committee. And in a time where the federal government is a little hesitant to fund any projects, we are very proud to have helped secure funding for critical infrastructure projects throughout our district and want to continue to work to make life better for folks in our district. In addition to all that, Representative Gray signed onto a letter with Representatives Costa, Valadeo, and Fong asking Governor Newsom to modernize operations of California's water system. The Congressman co-leads the Feed Our Veterans Act, which ensures veterans would once again be exempt from having to meet work requirements for SNAP benefits. And the SNAP Online Access Act, which directs the USDA to make SNAP online purchasing programs permanent. The Congressman also leads the Precise Act, a bill that makes loans more available for precision agriculture technology, and is co-leading the Rural Jobs and Hydropower Expansion Act, which streamlines the permitting process and authors non-federal hydropower development. And he's also co-sponsoring the Farm and Family Relief Act and co-sponsors H.R. 2598, the IDEA Full Funding Act, which is a bicameral bill that enforces the full funding of the Individuals with Disabilities Act. It's been a very, very busy start to our year, and it's only going to get busier. As always, if any members of the council or members of the community present know any folks who are having issues with the federal government, of which I am sure there are many, don't hesitate to send them our way. 602 West 20th Street in Merced. More than happy to help them out. Thank you.
Thank you. I love the new stash. Anybody else? Not seeing any, I'll close public comment. Consent calendar.
Background information has been provided on all matters listed under the consent calendar, and these items are considered to be routine. All items under the consent calendar are normally approved by one motion. If a council member requests separate discussion on any item, that item will be removed from the consent calendar for separate action.
Are there any public comments regarding the consent calendar? Hearing none, I'll close the public comment time. Are there any items on the consent calendar that the council would like to remove or separate discussion and possible action? Hearing none, would any council like to make a motion regarding the consent calendar?
Motion to approve the consent calendar is posted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the consent calendar. Shall we vote?
Rochester,
Yes.
Raymond,
Yes.
Ambrose,
Yes.
Kale,
Yes.
motion passes.
Okay. Now we'll move on to item number, if I can get my fingers to work properly, 8. This is the police department update regarding street crime activities, unhoused populations, response effort, and public safety initiative. Chief McKeachin.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. Today's report, as the Mayor Pro Tem stated, is going to be a little brief on our street crimes unit, and which has just recently been reestablished, and some of their activities, and then also the unhoused population response. The street crimes unit, as I said, just was reintroduced in January. We selected 2 officers out of a pool of officers that put in letters of interest. They operate under the direction of our detective sergeant, and their primary focus is quality of life issues. Some of the activities that they're focusing on are gang violence, which as the summer months come, there are going to be a lot more gang activity out on the streets in Merced County, and so we want to get out in front of that and try to combat that before it gets out of hand. Also drug activity. They'll focus on retail theft, homeless issues, illegal food vendors, which they will be working with the county task force on that starting this week. We had one over the weekend, and patrol handled it, but ultimately the goal is to have the task force come out and address that. We just had Amanda Duran here from the health department last meeting, and she explained that they have the ability to enter dwellings without a warrant because it's a health department issue. They're able to seize equipment and do things that we can't do on our own. So we're going to be working closely with them to help address those problems. They also have been picking up a lot of wanted subjects that patrol may know they're wanted and they don't see them and they can't actively go out looking for them. These guys actually are able to go out and sit on houses and wait for people to come out. And so they've been able to pick up quite a bit of wanted subjects that were able to evade us. And then any other issues as they arise. So Anything that comes up, it's a good thing because, like I said, they're not tied to patrol. They're not going call to call. They're able to actually focus on things that we don't normally have time to do, and it's been a huge benefit up to this point. And at this point, I'd like to welcome up Lieutenant Novetsky. He's going to talk about some of the activity that the Street Crimes Unit has taken care of so far.
Good evening, Council. Lieutenant Novetsky. So our street crimes have kind of hit as the chief was talking about, hit the ground running. We've made, it's overseen by our investigative sergeant, and it falls under our investigative division. So what they do is they kind of work as a collaborative effort, and it's within that unit, so there's a lot of information sharing of what detectives are looking for. So not only is it a kind of a directed enforcement team, but it's also a collaborative team that has resources that if detectives are looking for somebody or needs work, you know, doing surveillance or anything of that nature, they have that ability to do that. That frees up our detectives to be able to do some of the things that they need to do for investigations. They also work with our special operations teams and in those investigations to provide information and act upon the information they receive from our special operations team. So far we have hit the ground running. We've made several felony arrests already in regards to our warrants. They are able to go after folks that have eluded us for a little bit. Patrol is busy, so these folks were out kind of being out in the public and knowing that there wasn't really somebody actively looking for them. So our team has located just an individual that had 13 warrants. It's just been released and kind of missing court. So they're able to pick him up, take him to jail. Just different levels of directed enforcement. We are kind of seeing that. They are a multi-faceted unit that has worked so far. They've done DUIs, so they've done the traffic piece. They've done gang FIs already, intelligence gathering, and directed enforcement, which is able to, it's 3 weeks in, so I don't want to come up here with stats in the sense of what the impact's going to be, but having a directed unit, this is a legacy unit, so having that unit before, it did produce results of having directed enforcement, so we're looking to have those same type of results. I can take any questions that you guys have that I can answer, unless it's specific to investigations that I won't be able to talk about.
Any questions on the area of focus for the lieutenant? Yes.
Do you still have the officer assigned to the magnet?
Yes, we do.
So that would be 3 officers then pulled from routine patrol?
Our
now?
investigative unit is completely fully staffed, yes.
So the Merced Area Gang Narcotic Enforcement Team, how will the street crime unit work with the Merced Area Gang Narcotic Enforcement Team? Are they going to pass information to them as they come across on the street? I'm just curious how that, I feel like it's pulling away from what we have an officer dedicated for.
It's all part of investigations. It's a collaborative effort. Like I said, on that particular special unit, I will not get into what we do with our street crimes unit, but we are working in collaboration where it is a necessary unit, that it's not a redundancy or pulling from patrol. This is a direct effort to combat things that we're dealing with in our county right now.
My primary concern is just that we already have the magnet, and so I would love to see these officers be able to focus on the quality of life issues like the homelessness that's going on all around Atwater, and hopefully we could take time to really educate those officers on the ordinance so that they would be able to enforce the ordinance.
Yeah, our street crimes units is going to encompass all the quality of life issues also. The magnet team is completely different in their scope of what they do of what our street crimes officers will be doing. So it is, it's not an extra kind of like, they're not replacing magnet, vice versa. Magnet can't replace what these officers are doing. That's why we added them into our investigative bureau. It's no different than our detective bureau that our general detectives handle major crimes of homicide, sexual assaults, those type of things. Magnet handles what they do from the special operations area. And then our street crimes unit is kind of the catch-all directed enforcement unit, which would encompass not only the quality of life issues, but they're going to be kind of a Swiss Army knife to deal with, drug activity. They've already made drug arrests. They've already made, gang intelligence. They've already been able to do numerous arrests. Like I said, the warrant arrest. That in itself, even with the warrant piece, is with directed enforcement. What we are seeing is a patrol officer. It's to answer kind of this question. People think, oh, we're taking from patrol. Well, a patrol officer, if we're not doing a proactive kind of a directed enforcement of what our issues are, whether it's retail theft or whatever the case may be, the patrol officer is just going to constantly be tied up doing cases, going back to the same problem houses, going out to the same target and taking those same reports. Well, that's not allowing the patrol officer to focus on kind of being more in the neighborhoods, patrolling around, kind of what their function is. So what this allows us to do is kind of take some of the players off that are frequent flyers that are doing the crimes in the neighborhood, so patrol's not having to take that report the next day, or 2 to 3 if there's a victim of, let's say, a house that gets 3 houses that have a car burglary on each one. That's going to take a patrol officer not only the report, the investigation, and that time off the street, where if we have a dedicated street crimes unit that can do surveillance or get information of who is committing these burglaries or whatever, we'd like to get the people that are responsible as best we can within the law. And that allows, hopefully, that will kind of push back to where people understand that, it's not just a revolving door of patrol handling just calls for service, where we're not seeing actual we're trying to solve the best we can with the problem with the staffing levels we have and be proactive just like any other city.
Thank you.
Okay, Chief, next.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Now we'll move on to the unhoused population response strategies. We handle these things in a variety of ways. We get complaints from the community, and we respond to those. They go out and they will do service referrals and try to get the unhoused the services that they need if they so choose. They also enforce the municipal code violations related to unhoused population. And they coordinate with other departments, such as the county. They work a lot with Public Works and cleaning up camps. I think, speaking with Justin, it's about a 2-hour day every morning that the Public Works goes out and cleans up these encampments. Unfortunately, it's a never-ending cycle, and so they are constantly out there cleaning them up, but they do an outstanding job of taking care of that early in the morning before everybody starts kind of getting up and about with their day. The daytime operations primarily is code enforcement, but patrol also will respond to homeless complaints. They respond, as I said, to public complaints from the community. They coordinate encampment cleanups with Public Works, as I just mentioned. They will offer services to the unhoused individuals. They'll enforce the illegal camping violations, and they also address additional municipal code violations that they may find as they're out there. The nighttime operations, they enforce the park closure violations, people hanging out in the park after hours. They enforce the illegal camping violations. Obviously, they're going to find a lot more of the camping violations than they will during the day, because that's when people hunker down for the evening. And they'll also enforce the illegal burning violations as they occur. Some of the enforcement activity from January 1st to February 16th, citations were issued: 4 for being in the park after hours, 2 for possession of shopping carts, and 34 citations for illegal camping. We have on the next slide, we have repeat violations tracking. We keep a list each time that they cite an individual so that we know how many times they've been cited. After 3 violations, the individual may be arrested and charged with a misdemeanor for continuing to commit that violation. And the status as of February 13th, which is when I compiled this last week, 2 individuals have been cited 5 times, and they've both been arrested and booked. 1 has been cited 4 times. 4 individuals have been cited 3 times. 6 have been cited 2 times, and then 4 individuals have been cited 1 time. This obviously demonstrates the repeat compliance challenges that we face. We will arrest them, we'll book them, but as everybody knows, they get a citation and they're right back on the street, and they're back here before you know it. So we continue to fight the fight. Unfortunately, it's a lot of times it's a losing fight, and I know people see the same people out on the street every day and think we don't do anything, but I think these stats show otherwise. And at this time, I'd like to welcome our code enforcement manager, Dan Garcia, to come up and kind of explain to you guys the activities that they handle during the daytime.
Thank you, Council. So primarily through the daytime hours, we start early. Typically all the encampments I had cleaned up from the previous day have kind of migrated back. The reason it's important to start early for them is historically with encampments, we like to get the people, the encampments cleaned up and moved. Historically, if a small encampment becomes embedded, more people will congregate with the assumption that that is a okay place to camp. So there is an urgency to get the small encampments removed. It's less cleanup and it's a quicker turnaround time. Excuse me. And then Officer Lee, or Sergeant Lee, is going to cover later. I do speak with him almost on a daily basis about what's going on during nighttime hours, because there has been a lot more enforcement at night, and we can kind of pass on information of what I'm finding during the day as opposed to what they're finding at night. But the daytime cleanup, it's not uncommon. I'll move the same encampment by the same person, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day from one location, then we'll go across the street 2 hours later, and then an hour later we're across the street. But if we can get them cleaned up and mitigated while they're small, then they don't turn into these massive cleanups. Usually the property owners, so the city won't clean up private property, but it's a lot easier for the property owners to clean up very small encampments where it may just be a few bags of garbage as opposed to a large embedded encampment that takes more resources. So that's the urgency to try to mitigate those each day. I can answer any questions regarding that.
Anybody on the staff have any questions? Yes.
I just have more of a comment. I have had to call dispatch a couple of times for some transient individuals, and I think there's a misnomer that, you know, actually a dispatcher told me that they would refer my call to code enforcement, but in actuality it was a law violation, and there's a municipal code supporting that. So it would be my hope that you would receive the support from the officers when you're not on shift, recognizing that the law has to be enforced all the time, not just when you're on shift.
Yeah, absolutely. So our municipal code is a tiered system of enforcement. So initially a subject has to receive 3 administrative citations, and the 4th citation being a misdemeanor at that point. So the citations for camping, I can write up to the 3rd citation, at which point it becomes a misdemeanor, which is going to involve a patrol officer. But I can't remember a time where the communication between the daytime sergeants and the nighttime sergeants has been more involved. Everybody has a great understanding of, we all know our population. I deal with them every day for the last 6.5 years, so I know them very well. But the communication is great as far as addressing the problem areas, who's being cited. But I do assist in the citation up to the 4th point. A lot of the locations I am familiar if we have various 602 letters, so I do typically go out there and make an attempt to move them along, remind them that this is not an acceptable place to set up an encampment, and we can mitigate a lot of those just with a little reminder that this is not an acceptable place, but oftentimes those do escalate to a common problem where patrol gets involved.
Okay, anybody else? Anybody else have any? No? How about comments from the public on this item?
We still have a little bit more, Mayor Pro Tem.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
My bad.
No, it's okay. Some of the, on my last slide, some of the challenges that we face, and we've talked about it a little bit, and Dan talked about it a little bit. Code enforcement has assigned a lot of collateral duties, especially right now with our CSO vacancies. Code enforcement's been handling a lot of our animal calls and other things that they normally would not have to deal with. That ties up a lot of their time. The reduced ability to address blight and nuisance violations kind of plays into that because they are so busy doing these other collateral assignments. Fortunately, we have a solution in progress. We have one full-time community service officer coming on board soon. They have second interviews with the finalists tomorrow, and then we'll make a selection on that. One of our part-time community service officers starts at the end of this week, and then another one will be starting in a few weeks at his request. So by, I would say, late March, early April, we will have all three of them on staff. Obviously, it's going to take a lot of time to train them into the functions that they're going to take on, but it's going to free up code enforcement to get back to doing what they're supposed to be doing, which is, I know they're looking forward to that. I commend them for all the extra work they've been doing because it really is a challenge, and I look at their calls and they stay busy all day, but we really appreciate their efforts. And at this time, I'd like to call up Sergeant Lee. He's going to talk a little bit about the nighttime operations and what patrol is doing at nighttime when code enforcement is not here.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, Council, Mr. City Manager. I'm Ken Lee. I'm the Graveyard Watch Commander for the A side of the week. What that means is our shift starts at 6 p.m. and ends at 6 a.m. Sunday through Tuesday and every other Wednesday. So it's a 12-hour shift. My shift is comprised of myself and 2 other officers. And more recently, we have a cover officer that works until midnight with us. I want to stress that the statistics that I'm going to read to you have been generated by 2 officers since the first of the year. So my 2 officers have generated a total of 36 citations for AMC violations. That includes being in the park after hours, camping in public, and also where applicable, the possession of the shopping carts. The AMC section kind of overlaps with the Business and Professions Code, which is a misdemeanor in the state of California to be in possession of a shopping cart off of the premises. The problem that we routinely run into is most of the shopping carts in our city are not marked. Some cities, like the city of Stockton, has a municipal code that requires the businesses operating within their boundaries to have placards on there advising the public of the BMP code. When that placard is not on the shopping cart or laundry cart, we cannot enforce the state statute. We have to revert to the city municipal code. The 2 officers have generated 10 arrests for warrants, 8 drug possession arrests. That has to do with possession of narcotics and also the related paraphernalia. 1 arrest for the BMP section that I just spoke of, and 3 arrests for trespassing. The trespassings came from the businesses that we have the cooperation with the trespassing letters on file, to where our officers don't have to call somebody up in the middle of the night to ask that property owner or landlord, do you want this person arrested? Gives us the authority to enforce that when we see it. Currently, these efforts are being done in conjunction with their normal patrol duties, so I want you to keep in mind that these guys are going out there when they're not responding to calls for service from the general public, that they're going out there and proactively enforcing these codes. These things are implemented through what we call a directed patrol. Starting March, we're going to take on a pilot program that I've drafted. It's going to be a 30-day program. Basically, it's a graveyard shift hotspot patrol plan. Where it differs from the directed patrol is this includes a directed patrol, but also a problem-solving strategies as well as lawful law enforcement. The phase 1 of the plan is an identification and preparation. That's days 1 through 5. It's basically where we do a lot of data collection and look where our problem spots are in the city. Identify that, the hot spots, and then there's basically a supervisor briefing on that. to clarify certain purposes such as the legal standards, and then reinforce the documentation requirements for that, and as well as clarify the purpose of that, which is visibility and law enforcement, not harassment. I want to stress that. Phase 2 of the plan is the actual patrol deployment. That'll be days 6 through 25. That will involve anywhere between the 2 and 4 officers, which that includes myself. Each officer will visit the hot spots 2 to 4 times per shift. Durations per visit 10 to 15 minutes. This will be a mixture of vehicle and foot patrol, prioritize visibility and lawful contact. And the key patrol actions in phase 2 will be illegal camping, shopping cart enforcement, drug offenses, warrants, environmental scan. That includes the notation of lighting issues, concealment areas, and trespass violations. Phase 3 will be problem solving and the environmental action. The environmental action is basically where we go out and we identify certain problems in the area, whereas there's not enough street lights, maybe there's a lot of foliage that these folks are using to embed themselves, into vegetation. For those of you that have been around the city for a while, that you'll remember Atwater Boulevard used to be lined with oleander bushes. Several years ago, most of our homeless population had literally embedded themselves inside that. We took a vigorous stance on that. We got the CAL FIRE prison team down from Mount Bullion to come down and basically cut down all the oleanders. That was a good preventative action we took on that. One of the things also, I'm going somewhat off script, but I want to kind of touch on what our code enforcement manager spoke of. We shift folks from one spot to another, and it costs us money every time we do it. But I want to ask to see, what have we done to prevent that from happening? Other cities have, such as Turlock, City of Stockton, have gone out, as well as Sacramento. I should mention Sacramento. I believe they were the first ones to implement this. They've put up heavy steel fencing in certain areas around the overpasses in their city, as well as laid down road base. Now, the road base can be anywhere from a rock about this big to the size of a boulder. And what that basically does is prevent somebody from coming back and pitching their tent 5 minutes after we've vacated them. And that's what we're seeing. I'd like the city council to kind of discuss that amongst themselves and see if that's something that we can do. Most notably, anybody that goes down Atwater Boulevard in the 2300 block where the State Route 99 on-ramp is, you'll see that encampment that's underneath there, the repetitive cycle. That would be a great place to lay down that road base. Phase 4 is the evaluation and adjustments. That's day 26 and 30. That's basically the metrics of the illegal camping citations and warnings, the shopping carts recovered, the drug arrests and referrals, warrants served, and the calls for service, trends in the hotspots. That pretty much is it, if there's any questions.
Anything from the staff? Yes.
Do you have the crime mapping software so that you could cut down on the time it will take to identify the hotspots so that we can, I know that we had discussed that. I thought that investment was being made in crime mapping so that we could quickly identify the hotspots without having to do research.
We do have that Peregrine system. It does have crime mapping in it.
That's good.
Yeah, I believe our current RIM system has a analytical portion as well. I didn't bring it here because I didn't want to overload you with too much information, but part of this plan does involve the crime mapping.
Can you talk a little bit more about the road base? Like I've never heard of that, so if you could educate us a little more.
It's basically a large granite rock that you'll lay down on the open ground or the unimproved ground, and essentially what it does is because it's not a permanent blockage, but it basically by the weight of the rock itself makes it impossible for these folks to move themselves. And by laying that down on the ground, it inhibits them from pitching their tents or other type of, temporary shelters in that location.
I don't mean to put you on the spot, but do you know about like the cost that's involved in that and where those would be stored and how we would move those and those type of things?
I don't have the cost. We can certainly, explore that. But generally, the Public Works would have the equipment to move that around. If you're going towards a contractor, the contractor can usually bring that out by dump truck and then lay it out where it's needed and use a heavy equipment to spread it out. Our Public Works has that very same equipment. So it may be cheaper for us just to purchase the rock and then lay it out through Public Works.
Okay, and I would ask that we do actually take a look at that. I think that's a great idea, and we should evaluate that with Public Works and the cost of it. Because, yeah, I think it's a great idea. Thank you.
Yeah, we can do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're good now, too?
Yes, thank you.
All right, now, is there anybody in the public who would like to comment on this item?
Good evening, Adam Reed. I like, him talking about that. I'm glad that he did go off script. I'm glad that he took the initiative to bring that forward to you guys, because it is effective. If you go on the bike paths in Merced, like under G Street and stuff, they've done some of that. They put like lots of big rocks and stuff underneath there to keep the homeless people from going in there and camping. And they've went around town and they've put rocks and stuff in areas where they know that they get homeless people. So it does work. So yeah, that'd be great to look into.
I agree, I think, and we will look into that. I just don't want us to become Boulder City. Okay, anybody else? Hearing none, I'll close the public comment and move on to number 9. And this is approving an amendment to the salary schedule to equalize department head salary ranges. City Manager Home.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. So the city's current salary schedule reflects ranges that were established at different times and under previous organizational conditions. As a result, certain department head classifications have salary ranges that are not aligned with one another. And I got some questions about this item over the weekend that I'd like to respond to. So the first was whether there was a salary study for this item, and are the increases competitive for a city of our size and the specific position responsibilities? The answer is yes, and I'll elaborate on that. First, I'll start with some background. The city has in-house department heads called directors in the following departments: Community Development, Public Works, Human Resources, Finance, and the Police Chief. The salary schedule includes increases to the Public Works Director, the Finance Director, and the Human Resources Director salaries so that they match the current Community Development Director salary. The Police Chief salary is already higher than the rest and in its own category, which is how virtually every city works. So I'm not proposing any changes for the Police Chief position. I surveyed 12 cities in our area. I avoided cities like Modesto and Merced because they're so much larger, more than 3 times larger, and they belong in a larger city category. I also excluded cities that much smaller than Atwater, like Gustine and Dos Palos, despite being in the same county, because they're less than 3 times the size of Atwater, and they belong in a smaller city category. The cities I surveyed include Patterson, Riverbank, Los Banos, Ceres, Madera, Turlock, Galt, Kerman, Mendota, Sanger, Livingston, and Oakdale. This includes cities both smaller and larger than Atwater. Based on the 2020 census, the average population of all these cities is 33,367 people. which is very close to Atwater's population of 31,970. The average salary range for the city's finance directors is 135,725 up to 167,191. Compare this with our current finance director salary range of 117,495 to 149,957. The difference is over 17,000 in annual pay. Among the surveyed cities that have an HR director, the average salary range is 146,960 to $181,064. However, among the cities that have both HR and finance directors, they are very close to each other in average salary. By equalizing our own department head salaries, we still don't reach the area's average when using the finance director as a benchmark. However, it would place us at 95 to 98% of the average. So in other words, we'd still be lower than what would be expected, but we would at least be a lot closer to the average and more competitive. I'll note that equalizing the salaries makes sense and is not out of the industry norm. There are other cities that do this. I also got a question about fringe benefits. I'd like to note that each department head has an employment agreement that provides a city vehicle that they can drive to and from home, and use for work purposes only. This is one of the fringe benefits starting years ago that all department heads in the city of Atwater receive as part of their employment contracts with the city. I have continued that benefit in the employment agreements that I have worked on with new directors that have joined our team. The council has approved those employment agreements. If the council wishes for me to remove those in future employment agreements, then it can direct me to do so. However, I would advise against that. There are several reasons to provide a city vehicle for these directors. First, department heads may need to respond immediately to urgent situations such as budget crises, labor issues, cyber incidents, or disaster finance tracking. A take-home vehicle reduces response time. Second, directors are effectively on call 24/7. Directors frequently attend evening council meetings, regional agency meetings, and other work-related meetings. A city vehicle recognizes that commuting time is not purely personal time. Third, using a city-owned vehicle, ensures the city's insurance covers official travel instead of relying on personal insurance policies with varying limits. Lastly, executive level perks such as a vehicle we can use that to help attract and retain qualified leadership, particularly in competitive municipal labor markets. Some cities provide other additional fringe benefits. For example, the city of Ceres provides department heads that have master's degree a 12% educational incentive on top of their base salary. Other than our police chief, our department heads do not receive education incentive pay. Some cities will match the department head's 401 deferred compensation plan contribution up to 3.5%. Here in Atwater, we don't have that benefit. As I researched the benefits that nearby cities provide, I found that delving deeper and including those fringe benefit comparisons would frankly reveal more areas where we are less competitive than comparative cities. And I'm not prepared to go down that road. So my focus here is on salaries only. Another question that I got was about the fiscal impact. Yes, it is a cost, but it is a cost that will not have a net fiscal impact due to other savings in those departments. That said, it is a cost, but it's a cost that's worth it because the finance department and HR department make all the other departments run. They are service departments, and without a good HR and finance team, the police, public works, economic development, building planning, etc., they're all hampered. When the city cuts corners on personnel and finance experts, the rest of the city suffers, including the residents. I also got questions about who proposed these increases and why. I am proposing these salary increases because I saw a discrepancy in pay among department head positions. These directors carry comparable executive level responsibility organizational impact, and accountability. The bottom line is that this isn't about one person or one position. This is about ensuring that we are able to continue to retain and recruit the caliber of employees necessary to provide the level of service that our community deserves. Thank you. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Do we have any questions for Chris? Yes.
So I just want to express the importance of pointing out the fact that even though it's a benefit, you say, to the city for a department head to have a take-home vehicle, it's also a fringe benefit to the department head who has the take-home vehicle, who receives it, because they're not paying to commute back and forth to work. And so I just did a calculation, and if a person lived 45 minutes away from Atwater, they would be using about going through 15,000 miles a year going back and forth. And that's pretty significant, because I just filled up my gas tank yesterday and it was $120. So that is a significant benefit that I feel was overlooked in the study.
Anybody else?
Yeah, so if I'm understanding right, there's no net fiscal impact. So you're telling me that within what we have in the current adopted budget, this fits in with no amendments or anything of that sort?
That's correct, and that's why there's no budget amendment necessary for this.
Have we looked at like what the ongoing annual impact would be?
Based on the salary savings that we've identified, moving forward, we see about it's a net positive. I don't have the exact number in front of me right here, but it's about, I'm sorry, I don't have the exact number in front of me, but when I looked at it, it was a net positive.
Okay, and so where does this actually fall into our long-term strategic goals?
So the long-term stability of having these department heads in place, as we know, Atwater has had some turnover with finance and HR leadership, and it's important for us to have some stability so that we can navigate some of the complex issues that are ahead of us. So that's why it's important to have this change in place so that we can have good retention.
Okay, well, have we looked at like where the costs are? If, say, we have to go out for recruitment, where does it play in the cost-benefit analysis of doing this as opposed to the recruitment process again and the costs associated with something like that?
Yeah, the cost for recruitment, I mean, there's the direct cost, but even looking at the indirect costs, you have departments without a director, without leadership, without the subject matter expertise to carry out the city's strategic plan and the things that we're working on. Like we have a lot of big things that we're working on, and moving forward, we need to have that expertise.
That's it for now.
I have a follow-up question, and I just want to say I've been a department head before, and with all due respect, I found my employees to be the subject matter experts, really, because they were the ones who are out there doing the work. So I just want to say that. And I did the math, and it looks like it's going to be about $37,000 a year. And I hear you saying salary savings, but where does that come from exactly? Because if we have salary savings, that just means that we have positions that are not filled. So are you saying that you're not going to fill positions? And how is that sustainable?
We've had, there is a position that has been vacant for quite some time, and we found that we've been able to pivot and have everything accomplished that we need accomplished despite having that vacancy. And so that's one example of how this would work.
So you're going to delete that position?
If it remains unfilled, then that's one way to have salary savings. And eventually, when it comes to working on the budget together with the council, then we can look at all the fine details.
Anybody else? Up here, I want to say that I remember the days when we had directors in positions that were a hindrance to our city. And I'm very proud of the directors that we currently have. And I myself, like Councilmember Rochester, I myself was in that director's position. And every time I went into a director's position, I was afforded a car. I was afforded that transportation. And I remember a company that said, hey, we want you to come over here and take over California for me. And I said, oh, okay, I'll listen to you. What are the benefits? What kind of a car will I get? I'm a big guy. I don't want to have a Mini Cooper. Oh no, we don't have cars. So I use my own? Yes. Do I get a gas allowance? Well, you can submit it. Okay, I don't want to work for you. That's the way the standard is nowadays for companies and cities. And if it's not affecting us this year financially, I'm okay with it. Anybody else have anything they want to say?
I just want to say it's not just this year, it's ongoing. This is an ongoing cost. This is a permanent decision that will have an ongoing effect forever, not just a one-time expense, ongoing. It's not just this year, it's next year and the next year and the next year.
So my question is, are you suggesting that we provide cars for everybody then?
I didn't say that at all.
Well, next year, the cost is still going to be there, so are we going to put cars from everybody so they don't have none?
That suggestion wasn't made at all.
Okay, I'm just questioning. Anybody else? No, then we'll have comments from the public. Any comments from the public for this item? Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem, council staff, good evening. Adam Connor, resident of District 4 on Summerfield. I'm not against our directors being paid more. I'm kind of against how this is going, and I'm kind of against how this study was done. We're not comparing apples to apples, we're comparing apples to oranges. We're talking about the average pay of directors in other cities whose tax base per resident is significantly higher than ours. Was that taken into account on all these evaluations? Because the city of Los Banos collects 2,400 people per resident annually. We collect 1,400 per resident annually, right? Why don't we work together as a city with our directors? Justin's great, he's a great director. Why don't we work together and increase our tax base by $37,000 next year and give everybody raises and not have an unfunded liability about how we're going about this? Our city manager's salary is $200,000 a year. We collect $46 million a year. The city manager of Los Banos only makes $15,000 more. The city collects $118 million a year. The city manager of Merced only makes $240,000, and they collect $438 million a year in tax revenue. We are a poor city, and we have to be realistic about that. Thank you.
Sean Connor, 1301 Drakely. My initial reaction, right, is like, I'm sympathetic, right? I want people to make money. I want people to be aggressive. I want them to climb the social ladder and bring home more money to their families, right? But as we think about this, how much did the city of Atwater grow in 2025? How many housing developments did we put in, right? How many new businesses did we bring in, right? So like, I think that something that's slightly lost on us here is that the city council is technically the most powerful group of people in the city of Atwater. They directly guide and give direction to the city manager, who then also gives direct guidance to economic development, right? So like, I want to say sorry to the people that aren't getting raises, but I think really it's city council. If we self-reflect, right, the people that are elected by the people to grow this city and to improve this city, the list of accomplishments from 2025 that Mike Nelson read was quite frankly embarrassing. And they shouldn't have even been read out loud with like a sense of pride, right? None of them were single-handedly done by like going above and beyond and growing the city and increasing the tax base. They were all just incremental things that had to be done via state compliance and county compliance standards, right? So if we were growing, if we were expanding, if the burden on these managers was growing, right, then I think a lot of people, it would be a much easier sell to give them a 15% increase in income. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and council members. My name is Gary Ferraris. I am the union rep for the miscellaneous and clerical units here at the City of Atwater. I'm here tonight to oppose passing this action tonight for a few different reasons. Let's first dispense with the fictions. The agenda report states that there is no budget impact because there is sufficient budget capacity. That is not a fiscal analysis. That is simply an exercise in intellectual gymnastics. An ongoing increase of nearly $38,000 annually for 3 salaries before you calculate pensions, pension contributions, Medicare, workers' comp, and other benefit loads is absolutely a fiscal impact. It is structural, it compounds, and it increases the city's long-term obligations. Take CalPERS, for example. The higher salaries mean that there's a higher pension compensation tomorrow, not just today, which can move forward likely for decades into the future. This is not a neutral decision. This is a permanent escalation of the cost of the structure of the city. Now let's talk about equity. There was a time when we came to the city council to ask for the frontline workers to be compensated on holidays when they're leaving their family and coming out to service the community. The message from city council was that there is budget constraints and it was just not sustainable. Yet tonight, you are being asked to approve double-digit increases for the top administrators and call it fiscally neutral. That is not equalization, that is stratification. Structural inequity occurs when the top tier of an organization is insulated from austerity while the workforce is asked to sacrifice. If budget constraints are real, they must be applied across the board. If budget capacity exists, it must be discussed transparently and evaluated comprehensively, not selectively like it is in this case. You cannot continue to simultaneously argue scarcity when negotiating with workers and abundance when adjusting executive pay. The residents are watching, the employees are watching, and the trust in public institutions is fragile. Before locking in permanent pensionable increases, I would encourage you to ask for a comprehensive financial analysis of the ongoing expense of this, including pension impact and the sustainability plan for a multi-year horizon. I urge you to, if you don't reject this, I urge you to at least send it back to city staff for a complete analysis and a comprehensive plan with transparency and equity for all. Thank you.
Linda Dash, Atwater. I don't know how many times I've come up here and practically begged you folks about looking at public works. You guys want to just, take all the money, put it in your little pockets, and go back to your own little counties. You don't live in our county. But Public Works, who's out there in the rain, in the horrible, it sounds terrible. I don't mean to be saying it this way, but they're there to cover for us when the weather is horrible, when it's super hot in the summertime, when it's pouring down rain, when it's flooding. They're there, and they do leave their families. While you're sitting there in your recliner watching the football game, and having a beer or whatever the heck you drink. But this is ridiculous. And you know what, Mr. Holm, I could care less what what cities you compared us with. This is Atwater, okay? You don't even live in Atwater. You don't even live in our county. So how do you really know what we want? And I think it's disgraceful, it's disgusting, and financially irresponsible for you and anybody else that votes for it. And you guys, let me tell you, election's coming.
Good evening, Adam Reed. So if Adam Connor kind of hit the nail on the head on where I was going, was we really need to look at what's our revenues look like? How much are we bringing in sales taxes? How much are we bringing in property taxes? How many jobs are we creating? I don't know any of the department heads other than Justin, and Justin does a phenomenal job. And I see there was only a little pittance in there for him. But I don't know him. I don't know anything about him. They could be doing an awesome job, but I'll tell you what, as a resident and as somebody that works in the development and has projects in Atwater, nothing going on in Atwater, guys. When's the last subdivision? And I'm not talking infills. When's the last houses that were built that were part of a subdivision? When's the last commercial developments that were built? City of Livingston, Jose Ramirez has got it going on over there, guys. I don't know if you guys have driven through there. Have you seen all the housing, high density housing? They're working on meeting their RENA numbers. We're not. Top step is $185,000, for the city manager over there. It's quite a bit less than what Chris Holmes is making. And I'm sorry, we have nothing going on here. You guys all up there know my opinions on the current administration. But why aren't we looking at these lower level jobs? I just went on the city website and looked at the careers. We're real heavy. We're looking for planners, which is awesome. I hope there's planning stuff coming, because maybe that means after 2 years, I'm actually going to be able to get a tentative map in front of somebody. And then we got 2 part-time parks guys. Our salary schedule is light. Justin can't keep these guys employed, and it's not coming from him. This is just me. As a member of the community and doing things in the community, talking to the guys that bring out the barricades, talking to the guys that clean the streets and stuff like that, retention's hard for these entry-level jobs. And they're making like 25 cents more than minimum wage. How are we gonna do this? And that's where your no impact's coming from, and it is that you can't fill these jobs because we're not paying enough for them. So we're gonna say that we're gonna save money there, and we're gonna put it towards these salaries. And again, I don't know the HR director and I don't know the finance director, and it's nothing against them personally, but I'll tell you what. One of my family members almost got into a car accident whenever the animal guts got spilled all over Winton Way, and I don't think you showed up. That was an environmental emergency. Animal guts and remains and blood and stuff all over. I don't think you showed up. I was out there for a while, but I don't know of anybody that's responding to anything in an emergency other than Justin.
Mr. Connor is right. This is an unfunded mandate. Just to give you an example of where we're going with it. Oh, by the way, I'm wearing reflective tonight for one reason. This is what the Public Works guys wear. This is what they wear. Just in case you didn't know, when you see them around here, I'm in solidarity with them tonight. According to your pay schedule here, now this is administrative assistant is making $3,865 a month. Administrative assistant number 2, $4,416 a month. You've got a code enforcement officer making only $4,900, and you're asking him to do everything. The community development director. 2 weeks ago, you hired a brand new community development director. In the contract, it stated in there $149,000 and change. Now with this proposal, that person is going to go from $149,000 a year to $164,892 a year, and has been on the job for 2 whole weeks. Plus, there's a car. Guys, this is ridiculous. Finance director is already making $12,496. You've got the human resource director making $11,850. Guys, these are good salaries. I don't care what anybody says. These are good salaries, and I could give a damn less about what another city does. Mechanic 1, $4,400. Mechanic 2, $5,041. Parks maintenance worker, $42.91. Police clerk, $39.42. Police clerk 2, $43.34. The point is this: who can make it on that? Can any of you say that you can make it on that kind of a wage every month with rent, food, utilities, insurance, raising a family, any of that? And we're going to go ahead and give selected people a huge pay bump like this. I'm sorry, but this is just as irresponsible as I think I've ever seen it. And I've been following this council for 25 years. And I've never seen anything as outrageous as this. Our workers, our guys out there in Public Works, they're out there slopping through plugged sewer lines, cleaning out drainage during the rain season. They're doing everything. And they're the most mistreated group I've ever seen. And then you've got, you know, people that are clericals and all that. $3,800, $4,000 a month. Who can live on that? Who can live on that? And these cars, I'll tell you right now, that'd be the first thing to jerk. Have them take down their mileage if they need to, but a car, that is an outrageous perk. And who pays for it? It's all, we're carrying the water for it right here with the taxpayers of the city. This is insulting.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, Council. Corey Billings, Heather Glen Lane in Atwater. I did my own study as we were talked about, and I chose some cities that have quite a bit higher tax base and range than we do. Some of those cities include Rockland, Windsor, and El Dorado Hills. They average their finance manager between 155 to 205,000. So I would say we are off on that one. However, their HR manager, their average salaries are somewhere in the $115,000 to $130,000 range. Their public works director, $134,000 to $163,000 range. The community development director, $145,000 to $190,000 range. So if you take the ranges that we're offering at HR director between 111 and 142, we are exactly where those other cities are that have a much higher tax base than we do. If you want to look at your finance officer at 117 to 149, like I said, I believe that one is slightly low, but it's still manageable for our community. Our public works director, well, Justin does an amazing job. He's 129 to 164, and that on average is somewhere between 134 to 163. So we are fairly well in the middle of what other communities that have similar sizes as far as the number of residents. If you want to talk about the city of Merced and look at the per capita, you know, their city manager makes is paid $2.61 per capita for their population of 96,073 to earn $250,000. That's what it calculates out to. So, city of Livingston, 150 to 184 for a city manager. Human resources, 69 to 83. Finance, 124 to 150. Public works, 109 to 133. I'm not seeing any of these cities having similar pays for each department head. Each one of them base it on the position itself, not necessarily all department heads need to earn a certain amount of money. It's based on what they do, how many staff they have, what their job responsibilities are. I really hope that the council will really consider this item and reject this pay raise, while I hope all employees at some point in time can get a pay raise, not just management.
Just like what Chester said, this is a reoccurring every year. I remember when I had a conversation with city manager over Measure B, how it was being spent and why we weren't hiring officers. He told me, well, these expenses is a one-time expense, and having officers is a reoccurring expense, and that's what this is going to be. I think question the council should be asking the finance director, who's not here, what does she project the deficit is going to be at the end of this fiscal year? Because now you guys are going to be adding to that deficit. You know, and then we talked about, Saturday there was a budget meeting. This should be put off until you guys find out what kind of situation this city is in. You know, instead of adding more to the deficit. City manager wants to go, well, I compared all these cities. The cars, we've always given cars to these people. Well, how many of these people in the past lived in the city? I don't know of any director now that's living in the city. So you're just adding that mileage up, all that gas we're paying, all the maintenance on the cars. You know, when's it going to end? Are you just going to keep building up the deficit? You know, at some point in time, you got to stop that. I suggest, and I like Justin, I like to see him get a raise. I like to see every employee get a raise. But if the money's not there, it's not there. You know, this guy over here, he hit it right off. Look at our tax base compared to all these cities. You went out there and said, everybody's getting paid here in this city. And they're bringing in a lot more money than what Atwater is. They should concentrate on this new economic, whoever's going to bring business in here. And once she starts bringing business in here, then maybe you guys can reevaluate this and give employees, you know, equal pay.
Well, I was going to let it go because pretty much everybody else said plenty, but you know, as far as tracking the vehicles when people take them home and employees take them home, I mean, memory serves me, we had some issues with that. Number two, really Public Works. You got guys on the ground. Tomorrow morning at 6 a.m., these guys, they get briefed. And these are the people that do the work every day. They're the people that forget every day. But those are the people that people like me get to deal with when we're doing our developments, when we do get our permits. We deal with Justin. We deal with his guys on the ground daily. They come out, they bring the equipment, they do the work. I deal with code enforcement. Chief was just saying how overworked this guy is, and you're over here trying to give somebody else the money. It's getting a little outlandish, okay? I don't have much more to say that anybody else hasn't said. Let's use some common sense here. Pay the people that deserve the money, not to say the others don't. But how about the people that are on the ground, that work overtime, that do everything they got to do? You already have money set aside for their wages. How about you increase the people that are out there busting their tails every single day? Everybody always seems to forget the guy in overalls, specifically why I didn't wear them tonight. You normally listen to me a little better when I'm in my overalls. Hopefully tonight, take a look at the people on the ground. Those are the people that got to get paid. It's common sense. And what happened to earn your money? Earn your keep. You work, you bust your tail, you get more money. Just real simple process.
Anybody else? Okay, we'll close public comment. So I look to the guy for a motion.
I would just like to make a statement before anyone makes a motion. And the statement is that I want to be clear, all employees, not just management, deserve fair, equitable, and competitive compensation. Supporting our workforce means ensuring fairness across the entire organization. When our represented employee groups come to the table for negotiations, it is a common practice to rely on professional compensation studies and clearly defined methodologies to evaluate market equity and fiscal impact. That level of analysis should be the standard across the board, including for unrepresented management positions. Now, the agenda says that there's no fiscal impact, yet any ongoing salary adjustment is going to create a continuing financial obligations. Our taxpayers deserve to understand the full financial picture, especially while we are actively working through our city's budget. Additionally, true equity requires evaluating total compensation, including fringe benefits and employer-paid costs, not just their base salary alone. And while without that comprehensiveness and an independent analysis, it is difficult to ensure transparency and consistency in our city. I support fair pay. I also support clear processes, fiscal responsibility, and making sure our community is part of important decisions that affect long-term financial commitments to our residents.
And I'm still looking for a motion.
Before a motion's made, I just want to say that I do want to set up the city the best way possible when it comes to not only our day-to-day boots on the ground, but for our management as well. In my time here, we've had multiple directors come in and out, interim directors. We really do need to be more competitive when it comes towards recruiting. Fortunately, we are filled with all of our directors, so hopefully we can maintain them. But with that being said, I would like to postpone this topic until our September 28th meeting. This way it gives us enough time to go over our financials as well as any negotiations that's going to be occurring during the summer.
September 28th, is that what you said?
I believe that's going to be the
Okay,
second meeting.
okay. I just wanted to make sure that's what you said. So is that your motion?
Yes.
Are you going to make that motion? Okay.
I don't know if this necessarily needs to die or whatever at this point, but I think that maybe more research does need to be done. So I'm glad to bring it back. I don't know, September's kind of a ways away. But
Is that a second?
yeah, it's fine.
Okay,
I'll second.
thank you. I just want to make sure. Okay. We have a motion and a second. Call for a vote.
Raymond,
Yes.
Ambrose,
Yes.
Rochester,
No.
Kale,
Yes.
motion passes.
Could I get clarification on what was just passed? So you want us to come back with more information on September 28th?
Yes, this way we can see exactly what savings would be, or if there's going to be how big of an ongoing cost, and this way also we can see what's actually available after negotiations, the next round of negotiations.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next we go to city reports and updates. Ms. Rochester,
I don't have anything, thank you.
Mr. Ambrose,
want to thank staff for your guys' reports tonight, as well as AMR and Supervisor McDaniels. Would like to also thank all the residents tonight for coming up and speaking. I know that sometimes that's not easy. Other than that, you guys have a good one.
Mr. Raymond.
So, Mayor Pro Tem Kale, before we adjourn this evening, I'd like to take a moment to honor the life of Margie Anderson. Margie was born on June 3rd, 1951. She was a proud graduate of Merced High School and Chapman College. She dedicated 20 years of service to the Allied Health Division at Merced Community College before retiring, where she helped to support and educate students entering the healthcare profession. Margie was married to Dennis Anderson, who was a former council member here from 94 to 98. She is survived by Dennis and her 3 sons, Adam Teixeira, Nick Teixeira, and Mark Anderson. She was also a devoted grandmother to 7 grandchildren, whom she loved and cherished deeply. She especially treasured being called Granny. Margie was a beautiful person in every sense of the word. She did not care about a person's status in life. She treated everyone equally with kindness and respect. She loved helping people and formed lasting friendships throughout her life. She was in fact supposed to have coffee with my grandma this week. She made a quiet but meaningful impact on many. She will be deeply missed by her family, her friends, and this community. Dennis shared something that I thought was sweet, and it was that Margie's now in heaven, and that one day he's going to be there to join her in the arms of Jesus. Our thoughts and prayers are with them and the family tonight, and Mayor Pro Tem, I'm asking that we can adjourn the meeting in Margie's memory.
Absolutely. Okay, I don't believe, I want to thank you for AMR and the police to come out here. I know you're doing a great job. You guys are doing a great job. Justin, you're doing a great job, like everybody said. So, and we've always said that, right? And so, I just want everybody to know that me personally, I'm here to support people who do a good job and great job. And we'll go on no matter what, and I look forward to seeing more information on that. Next, city manager reports and update.
Yes, thank you. There will be some striping work at Four Corners. Originally scheduled to begin today, has been rescheduled to Thursday and Friday of this week due to the rain forecasted for tomorrow and Wednesday. Atwater Spring Cleanup will be at 2877 Atwater Boulevard on March 21st from 8 a.m. to noon. Please bring your current ID and an Atwater utility bill. The annual Easter egg hunt is located at Veterans Park. It'll be Saturday, March 21st, and registration is open, so please visit the city website. And lastly, we finished the first of the 2 city budget workshops. That was on Saturday. The second one will be on March 28th at 9 a.m. at the community center. Thank you all for coming tonight.
Thank you very much. And I'd like to adjourn this meeting, and the council would like to adjourn this meeting in honor and loving memory of Marjorie Anderson.